Ambassador Krelthor's appendages trembled as he watched the sensor readings cascade across the holographic display. The Vraxian fleet had breached the outer defensive perimeter of Thessera Prime, and his people's last hope hung by a thread thinner than a photon beam. Communications, he rasped, his translator converting the clicks and whistles into standard galactic. Has there been any response from the Coalition? The communications officer, a young Thesseran named Mika, shook her head, her bioluminescent patches dimming with despair. Nothing, Ambassador. The Althari said they need council approval. The Zontari are dealing with their own border conflicts. The Mercantile Guild offered to sell us defensive drones at triple the usual price. Krelthor's main eye stalks drooped. 3 centuries of carefully maintained diplomatic relationships, and when the Thesseran people needed help most, the galaxy turned away. The Vraxians wanted their world for its rare mineral deposits, and they weren't interested in negotiating. What about the humans? Someone asked from the back of the command center. A ripple of uncertain chittering spread through the room. The humans. Those strange mammals who had only joined the Galactic Coalition 70 cycles ago, a species that had barely mastered faster-than-light travel when they'd made first contact. They were regarded with a mixture of curiosity and condescension by most established civilizations. They're too far away, Krelthor said dismissively, and too new to galactic politics. They wouldn't risk conflict with the Vraxian Empire for a species they barely know. But Mika was already checking. Ambassador, we did send them a standard distress call as part of the General Coalition broadcast. And? Krelthor asked, not expecting much. They responded immediately, 42 minutes ago. Mika's patches began glowing brighter. They said they were coming. Krelthor felt a flutter of something that might have been hope, quickly crushed by reality. A relief ship, perhaps. Medical supplies. The humans are known for their charitable nature, at least. It's something. The Vraxian fleet tightened its grip on the orbital space around Thessera Prime. Their demands grew more aggressive with each passing hour. Krelthor prepared his people for the inevitable surrender terms. At least the humans' relief supplies might help ease the suffering under Vraxian occupation. 3 days later, the sensors began screaming. Multiple hyperspace signatures. The sensor operator shouted. Massive energy readings. They're emerging at the system's edge. Krelthor rushed to the display, expecting to see Vraxian reinforcements arriving to finish them off. What he saw instead made his heart stop. Ships, hundreds of them, thousands. They poured out of hyperspace like a metallic tide, their formations precise and purposeful. Carriers the size of small moons. Battleships bristling with weapons that made the Vraxian dreadnoughts look like toys. Destroyers, frigates, cruisers, and craft whose classifications Krelthor didn't even recognize. Identification? He whispered. Mika's voice cracked with emotion. They're human, Ambassador. All of them. It's the entire Terran defense fleet. That's impossible, Krelthor breathed. We asked for aid, not an armada, someone finished. The communications array crackled to life. A human voice, calm and measured, filled the command center. Thesseran Command, this is Admiral Chen of the TDF Indomitable. We received your distress call. We're here to help. Please stand by. The Vraxian fleet, which had been systematically dismantling the last Thesseran orbital defenses, suddenly found itself facing an enemy that outnumbered them 15-1. Their commander, a veteran of 100 conquests, did what any logical military mind would do. He demanded to speak with the human commander. The entire galaxy watched what happened next. Admiral Chen's face appeared on every broadcast channel. A middle-aged woman with iron-gray hair and eyes that had seen too much war. Commander Vraxthul, she said simply. You have 30 minutes to withdraw from Thesseran space. After that, we will consider you hostile forces and respond accordingly. The Vraxian commander's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. You would risk war with the Vraxian Empire over these insignificant creatures? You've been in space for less than a century, human. We've been conquering worlds for 10,000 years. Admiral Chen's expression didn't change. 29 minutes, you're bluffing. Your species can't possibly care enough about the Thesserans to... 28 minutes, 30 seconds. Chen leaned forward. Here's what you need to understand about humans, Commander. We have a saying, never again. We meant it about ourselves, and we mean it about anyone who asks for our help. The Thesserans asked. We came. You have 28 minutes. What happened over the next hour would be studied in military academies for generations. The Vraxian fleet didn't retreat. They were too proud, too certain of their superiority. They learned differently. The human fleet moved with a precision that spoke of constant training and recent combat experience. Their weapons technology, dismissed as primitive by most of the galaxy, proved devastatingly effective. They fought with a coordination and adaptability that the rigid Vraxian battle doctrines couldn't counter. But it was their ferocity that truly shocked everyone watching. Humans, it turned out, didn't fight like the other coalition species, who followed strict rules of engagement and proportional response. Humans fought like a world that had nearly destroyed itself multiple times and learned from every mistake. They fought like they meant it. The Vraxian fleet broke within 40 minutes. Those who could escape did so. Those who couldn't surrendered. Not a single Vraxian ship reached Thessera Prime's surface. In the aftermath, Krelthor stood on the observation deck of the human flagship, invited up by Admiral Chen herself. Through the viewport, he could see the vast Armada maintaining a protective formation around his world. "Why?" he asked simply. "We're nothing to you. We've barely spoken. Why would you risk everything?" Admiral Chen was quiet for a moment, looking out at the stars. When she spoke, her voice was soft but firm. 200 years ago, Ambassador, we sent out signals into space hoping someone would hear us, hoping someone would answer. No one did. We went through hell alone, nearly ended our species a dozen different ways, and clawed our way to the stars by ourselves. She turned to face him, and Krelthor saw something ancient and determined in her eyes. When we finally met the Galactic Coalition, we made ourselves a promise. We would never let another species call out into the dark and hear only silence. "You called," we answered. "That's what humans do." Krelthor's appendages trembled again, but this time not from fear. "The galaxy thought you would send medical supplies, maybe a relief ship." Admiral Chen smiled, a fierce expression that was somehow both terrifying and comforting. "The galaxy is still learning what humanity means when we say we're coming to help. We don't do anything halfway, Ambassador. When a human gives their word, they bring everything they have." She gestured to the Armada outside the viewport. "You asked for aid. This is what aid looks like when humans give it." As Krelthor looked out at the thousands of ships that had crossed light years in days, that had arrived in overwhelming force not for conquest but for protection, he realized the galaxy had indeed misunderstood humanity. They weren't just another species stumbling into galactic politics. They were something the ancient civilizations had forgotten how to be. They were what happened when you took compassion and backed it with absolute commitment. The next day, the Galactic Coalition Council convened an emergency session. The topic: what to do about humanity's disproportionate response to the Thesseran crisis. Ambassador Krelthor spoke in humanity's defense, his translator carrying his words to every corner of Coalition space. "Disproportionate," he said. "They saved my species from extinction. They asked for nothing in return. They risked war with an empire that terrifies most of you. The only thing disproportionate here is your criticism compared to your own inaction." The debate raged for hours, but one thing became clear. The galaxy's understanding of humanity had fundamentally changed. When humans said they were coming to help, now everyone knew what that meant. Not a ship, not supplies, not carefully calculated minimum assistance, an armada, the full weight of human commitment, everything they had. And somehow that made the galaxy feel just a little bit safer.